So I want to make it interactive. I basically want to bring the culture of the standard that happens online and bring it into a live venue. So I would want it to be where giving honest feedback is part of what happens. Like, you know, when you show up to a standard event, you're going to hear people giving opinions about your work, and it's going to be interactive.
Well, that's excellent.
So
that is excellent. Well, I look forward to seeing what you do with it, and I'll be there front and center. Let me know. I'll be there, and I'll be broadcasting too. So bring you some more promotions and exposure. Mm-hmm. So it was wonderful talking to you.
Nice talking to you.
I look forward to seeing you soon and listening to some of your music. And everybody go on to that YouTube station, go on to those Facebook and Instagram pages.
Instagram, yep.
And check out Mr. French.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Well, I have a special guest today, and her name is Miss Robin Vaught. Hey. And she's with the Paycation Nation, and I'm just going to put it out there. Paycation Nation, that's a family name that we have in the travel industry for extreme travel. We are the branch of extreme travel. So we go by Paycation, but of course we are a nation because we are growing rapidly.
Yes.
You know, we're doing better than most small countries.
Absolutely.
And I have Robin here. We just finished up a great event we just did in Jacksonville. You know, I spoke about it last week. Well, it's today, but this is airing next week. So spoke about it and told everybody to come out. I'm glad we did get a great turnout.
Yes, we did.
We had an awesome crowd. We met a lot of new people that are wonderful.
Yes.
So I want to really just ask you about you, who you are, what made you who you are, and what got you where you are right now, and what's your next goal. So start wherever you want to.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity. Wow. I like to really say I'm just normal. I really do. I say that all the time. I'm just a normal person. I'm that person that had those dreams and goals.
But you know, the extraordinary people are the ones that say they're normal, right?
I mean, I've heard that. I have to give credit first to my mom, because my mom was extraordinary. My mom was a person who, we grew up in the projects, but my mom never had a project mentality. And my mom early on said, my family is not going to be raised here. My mom went into the military when she was young so that she can make a better life for herself. My mom would be that one to say, we're not poor. We're just financially challenged at the moment. My mom
was that generational curse
She was that generational curse breaker that would instill those things in us. But of course, it didn't make sense when we were young, right?
Yeah.
So fast forward now, here we are. And I began to God would just strategically start to put things in your life, and you reflect back on those little things. So I graduated from high school. I was pretty smart. I went to college. I got accepted at several different colleges, but I chose the one that was easiest. Let me say this. I was very smart, but I think I was a little lazy because it came easy to me.
Right.
You know, I didn't really have to study. It was just kind of innate for me. And that was fine when you were in high school, but when you start getting out in life, you know, you realize you have to kind of work for things a little bit. And when I began to have to work for it, it began to challenge me a little bit. So I went to school and I was bored. And so I didn't study like I should have just because I was bored. Okay, when you don't study, your grades go down a little bit. It didn't have anything to do with my ability, but I just didn't apply myself. But I was also aware enough to know that that wasn't me. So I decided to take a break after a couple of years, and I joined the Army, right? But I didn't want to commit again. I didn't apply myself because I didn't even want to go for 4 years. I remember asking the recruiter, what's the minimum I could go?
So wait a minute. Are you telling me that you got commitment issues?
I had commitment issues. That may be a whole nother show, though. We might have to go back to my childhood or something. But, you know, I just wanted to get away. I wanted a vacation. Oh, fast forward. That's what I was thinking. I wanted a vacation. I just need to get away. I need to clear my mind. You know, like, I'm not living up to my full potential. What am I going to do here? So I was always a person to self-check myself.
Oh, that's good.
I was. So I went. I had a blast in the military. Actually, I loved it, and I came back, and I was in reserves. But then I decided, okay, I'm going to go to school part-time. Let me get a job. Let me start applying myself. I had done my self-check, pulled myself up by the bootstraps, and I was like, okay, Robin, it's time for you to, you know, be a grown-up. So I decided to apply for some jobs. I got a job at AT&T, and I was going to rise the corporate ladder. I was finally going to live up to my potential, right? And then it was supposed to be a temporary job initially, but it turned out, they ended up hiring us permanently. But things just, you like a lot of people, you go to school, but you don't end up in the job that you were going to do, yes. Right? So same thing was kind of at AT&T. I was there, but I still wasn't fulfilled. I think that's what it is. If there's any common denominator here, is that I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't feeling like I was living up to my potential. Even when I was there at corporate, I always knew there was more things that I could do. But I was a single parent, right? I had my daughter not very early, but I was 24 years old right after I started working for AT&T. So I went through the struggle that a lot of people go through. Being completely transparent. There are days I came home and the lights were out. I could tell because the doorbell light wasn't on the outside of the house.
Exactly.
That's how I knew before I even walked into the house.
You just had that exhale of airs, like push into that.
And the irony is, I would usually get it back on the next day, but it was just like it was another thing that I would beat myself up over. But I still had these goals and dreams. I was like, I know I'm supposed to be doing something better. I know there's more, Robin. Come on. I literally would talk to myself. So I got married. My daughter was 10 years old. I thought that, hey, this is it. I wasn't I was 35. And I thought, we're mature. This is going to work. We had goals and dreams together, and that's one of the things that I like. And I don't feel like it was a negative experience. I feel like I learned from it, and I feel like I learned from a lot of experience because he was a man that taught me a lot. We grew together. We set goals and plans together, which is one of the things I was attracted to. But the marriage didn't work out, unfortunately. But from that, I traveled a little bit more when I was with him. I went to Curacao. We did things with the kids, and I was like, this is the life that I envisioned for myself, that I wasn't reaching to my full potential. So after the divorce, I was a single parent again, and I knew that I just needed to do something for myself. By this time, my daughter was getting to graduate from high school and thinking about college. So I was going through the struggle of trying to make ends meet. But I've always been a person that, even though I kind of was lazy a little bit at first, when it came to it, I always made it happen. My daughter says, Mom, now, I don't know how you do that. I work well under pressure.
Is it safe to say your mother put a lot of that in you?
My mother put a lot of that in me.
I met her. She's a pistol. I love her.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, so I always got it done somehow, some way, and obviously by the grace of God. I got towards 25 years of working for AT&T. That little temporary job turned into 25 years. You know how we say, where did time go?
Oh, yeah.
25 years later, but I'm looking around now, and the people that are working with me, they have way more time with me. They're 25, 30, 35 years, and they're not going anywhere. They're not doing anything. They're settled. And I knew I can't do this. I don't want to be there till I'm 62. I don't want to be there till I'm 67. And
that's pretty much the state of everyone's condition right now who are in, let's say, on the hamster wheel of being an employee.
That's it. And that's why I started off by saying I'm normal. Like, my story is really, we all have little variations, but the point is we're all on that same hamster wheel.
But you know what's different? There are parts of you or parts of your background that you can deem normal. However, the extraordinary part is the fact that you were not only able to jump off the hamster wheel, but you had the strength to jump off that hamster wheel.
Thank you. I was always looking for a way off of that hamster wheel. It's kind of like, think about this, right? When you're double dutching, even though I don't do it, when you see it, right? You're trying to jump in. You're looking for that way in. You're looking for that way out. I was always looking for that way out. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that God had a way out for me. Yeah.
And I think that's something that we share, because a lot of people look at me and they say, you're always doing something. You're always out there, blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, until I get to where I know that I'm completely happy and fulfilled in everything and reach my potential, I'm going to keep fighting, because it's too easy to give up.
That was me. I was always doing something, giving up my time. I volunteer at church. I volunteer and do this. I teach small groups, I was always doing things to stay active and to keep motivated, because I just knew that there was other things out there. And I knew also that there's always somebody worse off than I am. So I always had it in me to just give back to others and, volunteer and things like that.
Now, you told me something in just casual talking about these little sticky notes.
She has a real good memory.
I mean, things that stand out, I can remember. Don't ask me your name, but but I'm just kidding. But you told me something about the sticky notes. And I need you to tell our listeners about the sticky notes, about, your goals that you were setting at an early age.
Yeah, I early on, I just had, I was just exposed to things in my life. And so I just always set goals for myself. I don't remember exactly what I told you about the sticky notes, but I just know that was a part of what I did, just to try to always put things in front of me,
right,
and to just set goals for myself. Yeah.
And the retiring, your retiring goal.
Oh,
how could you forget about that?
Because I tell you, it was so. Because how you don't think about yourself. Okay, so what happened was 20, 30 years ago, I attended some business functions, and then you write down on sticky notes and 3x5 cards your goals, your short-term goals, your long-term goals. So back then, I may have been 23 years old, right? So I was 24, I would say, because I remember being pregnant. I had my daughter. And so I said, okay, I want a better life for my daughter. My daughter's going to go to private school. I need a new car. That was my immediate goal, was I needed a car. My daughter's going to go to private school. I'm going to raise her to have the best and have things that I didn't have. I'm going to retire, about age 50, because at 24, 50 seems like a long time away. So fast forward, I was telling Lo that my daughter ended up going to private school. Not only did she end up going to private school, she almost went to the school that I specifically wrote down on the card. She actually got interviewed at that school, but she was on the wait list. But another school had just built a brand new wing, a brand new middle school, so we chose that school instead. But I remember saying, when we interviewed at that school, when we got the call for the interview, I just had a flashback. Wait a minute. This is the school that I wrote on that card so many years ago, because my daughter was good at Spanish, and it was actually an international school where she would have been speaking Spanish. Even now, she's almost fluent in Spanish. So I wanted her to be immersed in Spanish. So we got on the wait list for that school, but we didn't get in. But this other school actually had Spanish as well, and it was a brand new middle school, so that's how we chose that. I ended up getting a short-term goal on my car, but guys, what she's talking about is my 3x5 car said that I would retire by age 50. I actually just retired December 27th at 49 years old from my job.
Look at God.
So you hear people talking about write down your goals and they'll be manifested, and a lot of times we miss it because we're looking for the immediate gratification. But years later, I had to think back. I was like, oh my gosh, it was just an epiphany. I wrote this like 30 years ago, and it happened. Not only did it happen, he exceeded what my goal and plan for myself was, because I retired at 49. I won't be 50 until October of this year.
Now, please tell us, what was it that enabled you to retire from working at AT&T after all those years, and your retirement package was not going to allow you? It was going to have you eating cat food.
My retirement package, I'm glad you said that, because people think retire and they automatically think people have all this money. But no, years ago, corporations, as you know, started changing their pensions, retirement funds. We saw the scandals with pensions and things like that, and that affected retirement. I didn't have a pension where I was going to receive something every month. I got one lump sum. So I knew that I was going to have something else. I started to be open to other ways of making money, and actually that's when I was exposed to Paycation. Paycation came my way, and when I saw it, I said, this is exactly what I'm going to do. Like, this is going to help me fund my retirement and create extra income for myself. And it did.
Yes, it did, because you were one of the top earners. Yes, you are, and it is such a pleasure, because when I met you, you hadn't ranked where you are now.
No.
And I promise you, it was a blink of an eye. You just went out there, you set that goal, and you made it. So lazy, can't call you lazy anymore.
Well, as I think about it, I will rephrase that. I was never lazy, but I was uninspired.
There you
and I'm a person that when I have a goal to shoot for, I'm gonna do it. So I have to constantly set goals.